Hi everyone, Bart from HVN here, and I just wanted to make a quick video about one of my favorite training tools that is not an actual sword, and that is a ball, tennis ball. I think a lot of you use tennis balls in drills in all sorts of different ways. The way that I usually use them is for saber training. I got a lot of the drills that I use in my saber classes for tennis balls from a YouTube video that I will link, if I can figure it out, somewhere over there. And a lot of those are drills that you'll probably have seen before. You're in your fencing stance, you bounce and catch the ball. And you can do this in all sorts of different degrees of difficulty. You can just bounce and catch statically. You can bounce off the hand and then catch. You can bounce, circle, catch. That moves up in degrees of difficulty, and then you can also start adding footwork. So bounce, catch, step, bounce, catch, lunge, bounce, step, lunge, and that sort of moves up. Now, I don't want to make a video about that because the video that I took all of those exercises from explains it very well, and it would be sort of superfluous for me to use that as a video basis. But what I wanted to do was, like I said, these exercises, while they are good for general footwork, they're mostly geared towards more classical fencing or saber fencing, military saber fencing. That's what they're useful for. But I started thinking about how I could use them for training longsword as well. And I had a couple of, found a couple of deficiencies in my technique, especially when striking and stepping. And I thought of a drill that I could do to try to improve upon those deficiencies, and I wanted to share that specific drill with you now. Now, it's based on the same bounce and catch system, really, but you wanted to longsword it up a little bit. So, since I'm left-handed, I'll keep my left foot back and my hand chambered, my left hand chambered as if I'm in a Vontag position. My right hand has the ball, and that's going to be doing the bouncing. And this is done in several steps, and each step adds a new thing to the sequence, a new movement. And what I mean by that is it looks like this. The first is very simple. It's very similar to the first drill that I just showed you for saber. It's just bounce, extend, and catch. That's all that you're doing. There's no rotation, there's no stepping, there's no leaning. All you're doing is extending the arm and grabbing the ball out of the air. Bounce, catch. Bounce, catch. For the second step, we'll be adding rotation. And what I mean by that is we will be turning in the shoulders and the hips after we've started the extension of the arm. So you're in your sort of Vontag position, the ball bounces, you extend the arm towards the ball, and as you're doing that, you're explosively rotating the hips and the shoulders. And if you want, you can also turn on the back foot. That helps for the next step as well. So 1, 2, turning the hips and shoulders and rotate the foot. And then, of course, catch the ball. So that's step number 2. Be mindful throughout the whole movement of doing this in sequence. So always extend the arm first and then rotate the shoulders and the hips and the ball of the foot. This is the main goal that I had. So, step number 1, bounce, extend. Step number 2, bounce, extend, and rotate. Step number 3 is you actually add a step here. So, bounce, extend, rotate, passing step. In that order. So, the whole movement. wanted to drill for myself. What I felt myself doing quite often was I started, when fencing, I could see myself starting to step before I extended my arms fully, and that got me countered quite a lot of times. This also helps me to power my strike with my body. I still use my arms too much when striking, so turning in the shoulders and the hips powerfully and explosively and really focusing on doing that really helps me to also do that when fencing. Those are the two goals that I had with this drill. One is proper order of operations, extend the arm first, rotate the torso, and then step. And two is to properly exercise explosive power while doing that. So not just using the arms when striking and keeping the torso relatively stationary, but using the whole body when fencing, as you should. So, again, 1, arm extends, 2, arm extends, torso rotates, 3, arm extends, torso rotates, finish with a passing step, ending up in a nice properly balanced position. One thing to keep in mind when doing this drill is distance between you and the ball. When you're just bouncing the ball in front of you, of course you don't want to bounce the ball more forward than your arm is long, otherwise you'll have to lean forward and you don't want to do that. But don't fall into the trap of throwing the ball further forward when you're rotating the torso or taking a step, because that violates the order of operations. What I mean by that is you bounce, you catch, you rotate, and you step. And if you throw the ball further forward than you can properly catch with extended arm, you're going to have to jump after the ball, and that completely messes up your structure. So what I mean is, if I throw the ball too far forward in front of me, I'll have to lunge after it. And that's not what I'm after. I'm after proper, balanced, structured footwork in a proper order of operations, and also landing in a properly balanced position after having caught the ball and taken a passing step. So actually the ball more or less bounces in the same spot the whole time. I throw it in the same spot when I'm extending the arm. I throw it more or less in the same spot when I'm rotating the torso after having extended the arm. And I throw it more or less in the same spot as well when taking the passing step after that. This sort of ties into my idea that the passing step isn't really used for closing distance. It's more so for ending up in a properly balanced position after having thrown a cut. But that's a topic for a different video. Now, how would I structure practicing this? If this is your first time using any sort of ball bounce catch drill, I would first get good at simply catching the ball. And you can do this from the position that we're going to do the passing step drill from. So just from here, extend and catch. Do a lot of those until you get comfortable with them. Or you can get into the save position and just do a lot of bouncing catch from those. Things to keep in mind here. Don't throw the ball too far forward or to the side so you don't have to lean. All you need to want to be able to do is to bounce down, have it come back up again, and as soon as all you need to do is extend the arm and grab the ball out of the air, that's the right height. So, this is the only thing that you need to be able to do to practice catching the ball. Do a lot of those. Once you get comfortable at those, then you can start with the drill proper. And the drill proper, I would also put more emphasis on the first 2 steps than on the last 1 step. So first, practice a lot of bounce, catch with arm extended. And once you get comfortable at that, then practice a whole bunch of bounce, arm extend, and torso rotations. Because for me, for the purpose of this drill, lay mostly in generating power and proper order of operations. And lastly, in the passing step bit. But it is important to test your skills. So after you've gotten good and comfortable with the first 2 steps, then you can try out a couple sets of bounce, extend, rotate and passing set. If you make a lot of errors doing that, go back and reset and go back to one of the earlier steps and just build it up again. The goal here is to be relaxed and comfortable in and acclimatizing yourself to making the proper movement as natural as possible, and that will carry over to using it in longsword. This is one way of using a relatively simple training tool like a tennis ball to isolate and try to improve certain aspects of your fencing. This was the goal that I had in mind when I designed this drill, and I would encourage you guys to get out there and work on isolating and finding aspects of your fencing that you want to specifically improve, and tweaking an existing drill or designing one of your own to zone in, hone in on that specific area of fencing that you want to work on, and be creative in designing your own drills. You're of course free to use this one, but the part of the goal of this video was also to show you ways in which you can design your own training. We're all working from home here, so we gotta be creative in how we can improve ourselves. I hope this was useful. I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Thanks.